right, Duke, let's jump right into the thick of it. One of the major reversals we're seeing is Trump's decision to reinstate military personnel discharged for refusing COVID-19 vaccinations.
Right. Kind of feels mission critical, you know? These are trained troops, many of them combat ready, and losing them over the vaccine? Not exactly ideal when we're short on numbers.
A valid concern. However, the public health risks aren't negligible either. Some argue this move could compromise military discipline and readiness in another way, like fostering defiance against orders. Thoughts?
Yeah, no. Look, it's about balance, a thin line. Readiness comes first. If leaders can mitigate the health risks, then this is a no-brainer for filling ranks. But it's not without its headaches, sure.
Exactly, Duke. The optics matter too. Reinstating folks highlights a focus on utility, even if it challenges broader health protocols. Let's pivot slightly. Trump's ban on transgender service members has also sparked conversation.
Yep, that's a lightning rod topic. From what I've seen, it's about perceived mission distraction versus inclusion. I get where conservative groups stand. They want tradition, discipline. But it's fired up the LGBTQ+ community big time.
Indeed. Advocacy groups argue this undermines equality and the contributions of transgender service members. The counter: Trump's supporters cite cohesion and cost concerns for this decision. It's a divisive change, no doubt about that.
Bottom line, if it's meant to boost tactical efficiency, leadership's got to prove those gains. Otherwise, it's perceived as exclusionary. And exclusion doesn't sit easy with some of the rank and file, you know?
Fair point, Duke. All right, let's get into the final policy. Constructing the Iron Dome missile defense system. It's an aggressive step toward enhancing national security, a clear prioritization of protecting domestic assets.
Yeah, Iron Dome is no joke. If it's anything like Israel's, it'll give us major coverage. But I hear rumblings already. The cost and the logistics of setting it up are sticking points. Care to weigh in?
Absolutely. Its effectiveness is undeniable, but we're talking billions in investment. Some fear it could divert funds from other pressing defense projects, let alone potential headaches with integration into existing systems.
Agreed, it's pricey. But there's no price tag on preventing missiles hitting our homeland. That's worth the logistical grind. And hey, maybe they've got plans to address all this.
Potentially. Trump's rhetoric suggests national defense is at the forefront, so we'll need to track how this unfolds. All right, Duke, let's pause here. Next up, we'll dive into the abolition of DEI programs and how it resonates within military ranks. Stick around. All right, Duke, picking up where we left off, let's dive into the abolition of DEI programs within the military and federal agencies. Trump's orders swiftly turned heads, framing diversity hiring practices as unnecessary and potentially harmful. What's the temperature among service members on this one?
Yeah, I've heard mixed chatter, chukwuka. Some troops see it as cutting bureaucracy, a good thing. But honestly, others think it torches moral cohesion built on inclusivity. You know, for some folks, these initiatives meant more fairness in promotions and opportunities.
Fair point. It appears Trump supporters view DEI as an overreach, arguing it lowers standards. Advocacy groups argue these policies create opportunities for underrepresented groups. The question then is whether abolishing such programs erodes or strengthens operational efficiency. What's your take?
From where I stand, if it clears red tape, fine. But that needs proof. Can't just cut DEI and expect everyone to cheer. If you don't actively show how operations improve, you're just lighting a match and hoping it burns clean. Leaders gotta step up here.
Exactly. Transparency will be critical. Let's transition to the reinstatement of Schedule F for federal employees. This classification allows easier removal of certain workers, meant for policy-influencing positions. While the intent is to ensure accountability, it's caused waves. Politicization of the federal workforce is a major concern.
Yeah, you'd lose experienced folks fast. Political appointees cycling through could wreck stability. Like swapping your top intel guy repeatedly mid-deployment. Sounds like a recipe for chaos unless tightly controlled.
Right. It addresses what Trump sees as a deep state issue, but alienates career professionals. Federal workers' unions are already voicing strong pushbacks, citing risks to job security and potential erosion of governance efficacy. Those are serious charges to contend with.
Union complaints come standard with these moves, though. Honestly, got to call it like this. If it weeds out inefficiency, I'm for it. But there's got to be a buffer. Something that protects skilled folks from getting booted just because they vote different. Agree?
Completely. A precise framework is non-negotiable in this case. Workforce reform requires more than executive orders. It needs buy-in from those impacted. And without safeguards, you risk mass instability within federal ranks. We've seen case studies where such instability tanked agency performance.
Exactly. Changes got to hold water operationally, not just politically. And look, if the unions and leadership find common ground, this could swing back positive. But it's a tight line to walk.
Well said, Duke. All right, let's round off with this. The ramifications of these shifts fundamentally touch on trust within the workforce. And without trust, efficiency takes a back seat. Next, we'll break down Trump's immigration measures and the National Emergency Declaration at the southern border. Stay tuned. Building on that point about trust, Duke, let's shift gears to Trump's immigration measures under his National Emergency Declaration at the southern border. It's a sharp escalation, undoubtedly controversial. Immediate deportations, even for some folks without criminal records. What's your take on this?
No sugarcoating it, Chukwuka. This is Trump doubling down. You draw the line and enforce it. That said, blanket measures? Yeah, they raise eyebrows because not every individual is a hardened criminal. Optics here matter big time.
Optics, indeed. Critics argue it overshadows nuanced cases, like dreamers or asylum seekers. But Trump's camp counters, saying it reinforces rule of law across the board. However, the expedited deportations have sparked diplomatic clashes.
Exactly. Case in point, Colombia. Those tariffs Trump threw down? Hardball tactics to force compliance on deportation flights. Sure, it worked, but it's got ripple effects. Compare that to something like U.S.-Nigeria relations, more cooperative on immigration matters.
Absolutely, Duke. With Colombia, we've seen economic pressure achieve immediate goals, albeit at the cost of strained alliances. On the other hand, Nigeria's approach involves mutual agreements and dialogue-driven strategies that enhance collaboration without strong-arming. A tale of two strategies, perhaps?
For sure. Like in the military, you don't deploy the same tactics for every battle. Sometimes it's stick, other times carrot, right? But hey, Trump's strategy is clear, results-driven, even if it ruffles feathers globally.
Let's segue, Duke. The January 6 pardons. Around 1,500 individuals, including some convicted of attacking law enforcement. Trump frames it as national reconciliation. But can this align with his narrative of law and order?
That's a tricky one, Chukwuka. Pardons send a message, sure. But what's the mission here? Healing the divide or stoking the base? Cops were hurt, man. Backing the blue is non-negotiable for conservatives. Feels like a mixed signal, if you ask me.
Mixed is right. Trump's allies promote it as righting perceived injustices, yet skeptics question how this squares with his tough-on-crime stance. Still, it's a calculated political move highlighting loyalty to his supporters. Polarizing, undoubtedly.
No doubt. But here's the thing. If you talk law and order, it's got to apply both ways. Can't pardon your team and then call out chaos elsewhere. Accountability's got to cut through the noise. Otherwise, you're muddying your own message.
Well put, Duke. This crossroads between public safety and political maneuvering will define Trump's broader leverage going forward. And with immigration, law enforcement, and diplomacy, the balancing act only grows heavier. That's all for today, folks. Engaging insights, as always, Duke.
Back at ya, Chukwuka. All right, listeners, stay sharp out there. We'll catch you next time.